Hi, I'm Keith Bilous, and this is Live in the Lab.
All right. A little bit of weirdness in front of the camera there for anybody who's watching. Because I'm like, hey, where's the button? Where's the button? I can't get it going.
How did you go viral on TikTok?
You were on America's Got Talent. How much do you get paid to be on AGT? Oh, you didn't get paid.
Keith and Steve here in Live in the Lab.
You're a great interviewer. I love it.
48 miles, 48 hours. And not just once. You ain't seen nothing yet. I hit 50 last time, and I'm like, yeah, things are a little different than they were 10 years ago. So trust me, things are to keep.
You have no time for the BS that much of society seems to put on the table. Why is that? What you're talking about is real right now. There's just no bullshit here, but it's just real.
We brought you in with some Marley. I said, Joseph, let's talk music for a second. You said, Keith, oldies, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I've never talked to a sir before. Why are you a sir? In many ways, we're the same story. I came from nothing. You came from nothing.
I think the old saying goes that if you want a trophy, you climb Everest. If you want respect, you climb K2.
I've built an AI myself, and it's pretty fascinating when you can have a conversation with yourself with your own knowledge. Have you done that before? Why are we rushing to make these tools if all they're going to do is hurt humanity?
Does the world need an Oppenheimer moment with AI?
What a fun show.
What's going on, nation? Business Athlete Nation. Hey! Show 50. Episode 50. Yeah, I'm looking at you in the camera. And to those that are listening, I'm looking at the camera right now. I'm describing it. I'm staring straight at my camera. My left eye is opening, my right eye is opening, and I'm trying to connect. Yeah. Brought some beats into the lab today. And you know who I brought in? Brought in a special guest. Somebody joining me last minute, but actually not last minute, because I knew in my heart of hearts when I met him a few shows ago, weeks ago, back when we had a good chat around the table. Anthony Franco's here. You know that Shark Tank guy? You know the guy with Startup Garage podcast? I'm a big fan of that. You guys have heard me pitching this on the show to you guys. Anthony doesn't know this, but I've been out there pitching it and telling everybody about Startup Garage. Don't know if anybody's going to watch the show from me telling them, but I'm a big fan. I love the idea. I think it's a brilliant idea. He's going to be here to tell us all about that. And you know what? A different format today. New camera, too. What do you think of that? Check this out. We're going to go. There we go. There's another one. New format today. Different format today. I don't know. Texted Anthony. Said, hey, man, you want to join me in the lab and just chew the fat? Shoot the shit? Pick up some topics and just figure what's going on? End of the month, no month. November's done today. You heard me say yesterday. Now I'm going to wrestle with each shoulder. Going, okay, so when do I crack this? Like I'm 30 days now. Do I go 40 days? Do I go 50 days? Do I go 100 days? Does that become the next journey here in the lab? Do we wait till next November until Dr. Keith, till the chief bapl opens it up? I don't know. I'm going to wrestle with that. I'll have to talk to my guests along the way. I wonder if Anthony dug into the ice cream. We know that he pledged to no ice cream for November. We're going to have to see what he's done with that as well. I think we're going to talk a little Elon. He's been in the news. Maybe talk a little bit of Sam Altman, open stuff. He's been in the news. I don't know. Just see what's on the table. See what Anthony wants to talk about, and we'll just see where it goes from here. So I hope you'll continue tuning in to the rest of the show today. And if you're hearing this later on, I hope you'll continue listening. I think you're going to enjoy the conversation. So why don't we just stop talking, pull the monologue aside, introduce and bring back onto the table Mr. Anthony Franco. So we're going to pull the music down to a mute. We're going to do this. And we're going to do that there. Where's Anthony? There he is. Right. Oop, nope, we're going to go that one. There he is. Got all these cameras, man.
You're very fancy. You're way fancier than I am.
Wow. Thank you for joining me, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me again. I was looking forward to this. Before you invited me last night, you're like, I want you back on. And I'm like, I can't wait. This is going to be fun.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So how you been? It's been a few weeks since you've been on the show. This is show 50. We'll get in that in a few moments, but let's talk about you. How you been?
It's been a month. Yes, you mentioned it. I pledged to do no ice cream for the month. And I actually bought a little bit. I just told you last night, I bought a little bit of keto ice cream and I had half a pint of it. And I was like, I don't know if this counts or am I cheating? I felt really guilty eating that half pint, even though it's like healthy ice cream. It wasn't bad, but I enjoyed it. So I was like, I don't know if it counts.
coincidentally, the day that I texted you to say, "Hey, do you want to be on the show again?"
Like,
You
oh,
said,
he
"Yeah,
got me.
yeah, Bilous leave me alone for the month. I'm texting me once. Now he's back on my ass. I'm holding you accountable, man. I'm telling. I tell people that come to the lab that I'm gonna be here every single day. So if you don't know it or not, I'm watching you, my friend."
Yeah.
Hey, Startup Garage. You don't know this, and you heard it in the opener there, but I've been on the shows here the last few weeks. Is out there
That's amazing.
telling people that, and I shot a little bit on the feed a few weeks ago. I was told I had ADD by one of my guests a couple weeks back, Justin Breen, and I don't know, in the middle of my afternoon, I started thinking about Startup Garage, so I just shot a bit for it. So yeah, I just shot a bit and I put it onto LinkedIn, and I was distracted, and I was talking about one thing. Next thing you know, Startup Garage came in, and then I went to something else. But how is Startup Garage, man?
We just recorded, a week and change ago, we recorded our first episode. We have the next episode that we're going to record. We're doing it, we record a live, like a live old fashioned radio talk show.
Yeah.
Record it live every other Monday. So this upcoming Monday, what is that? That's the
Fourth?
fourth? Yeah, Monday evening. We record it. And if you're interested in listening or participating, just go to startupgarage.live, and just click on watch. And you can sign up for to be reminded that we're recording and to come in. But it's me, Matt, and Amanda. Matt and I are serial entrepreneurs. Amanda is I call her a diabolical marketer, but she's been a part of a lot of big brands going viral. And we listen to live pitches. We're looking for really early, like aspiring entrepreneurs, early stage, thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, as well as some startups that are more formed and established. And we just listen to the pitch, give advice and feedback, have some banter. The fun thing really is that me, Amanda, and Matt go back a ways, and we have a really good rhythm with one another and can feel what the other one's thinking, and we can really have fun with the entrepreneurs in a very loving way. But also it's we want to entertain folks, but we also want to inspire entrepreneurs and maybe guide some people out of entrepreneurship or in entrepreneurship, depending on what they hear on the podcast. It's an experiment. I would say the first show, for being a first show, it did pretty well.
Yeah.
We're hoping to have a lot more people call in to pitch.
Okay.
On Monday. So yeah, the shout out is great.
And is it a call-in? It's a call-in show? So you guys are on. So I saw it, but describe to the audience. I tuned in, man. I'm probably one of your biggest fans. You don't even know me.
That's amazing. I say call in. It's a video call in, right? So
okay.
You call in from your laptop. You don't pick up the phone and call. You visit it via Meetup.
Okay.
And we're recording on a live streaming service. We live stream out and we record it for a podcast episode. Yeah, so it's purely unscripted, very raw. The earlier the stage, the more unformed the idea, the better it is. If you're thinking about, here's the real impetus of it. A few years back, I kept getting, when people found out I was on Shark Tank, they said, I've got this idea. And they wanted to just pitch me the idea right there. Like, I got this product I want to get out. And they think I have some magical formula for them to follow. And so I thought that would be really a fun panel. So we did a panel like that at Denver Startup Week, and we did it for a couple of years in a row. And then COVID happened, and we couldn't do it anymore. So I decided to turn it into a podcast, and that's really where it comes from. It's just like for people like, I've got this idea, it's harebrained. I run it across some people, and just get some advice. So think of it as like Shark Tank meets American Idol. Right. So
I think it's brilliant. When you first told me, Anthony, I thought it's brilliant. And I haven't heard of another show or podcast like that in the market. Is there?
No, there's not. And I think the reason is because it's
surprising, actually.
It's really hard to get people to call in. Like it's surprisingly hard to get people to call in and just show up and put themselves out there like that. And I encourage you to do it because we love entrepreneurs, so we're not going to be jerks to you. But yeah, I can understand the hesitancy for wanting to call into it. But yeah, the more people we can get to call in, the more entertaining it's going to be for everybody. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. Is not necessarily build an audience. I'm trying to build the people that are going to want to call in and participate in the show.
You're trying to do the same thing I'm doing here in the lab, Anthony, which is in many ways, you're trying to create a safe space for people to have some fun, be authentic, pitch their idea. Listen, you're going to have fun with them, but you're not going to throw them under the bus. You're not going to make them feel like a fool. You're going to, that's why you keep stating early, say, let's have a chat about it. Let's talk about your idea. And yeah, you might feel like a fool along the way, maybe, but at the end of the day, we're here to have a good time and create some good content, right?
And on the fool side, I've got a little story for you. So there was a time where I was egotistical enough to believe I knew what a good idea was.
Yes.
And I have completely lost. So I've listened to so many entrepreneurs give me what I thought was the most ridiculous idea on the, I was like, that is never going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been so wrong. Like I've been so wrong so many times. So it's not about whether or not the product is good, but it's like steering and maybe talking about how they may enter the channel or how they can refine their pitch so it's easier to understand for other people when they're talking to. So it's not judgment of the product or the idea. It's more about, all right, how do we make this thing real for you if you really want to make it real?
So then I'm going to try something here. Oh, there we go. Will you invest in them? Will you, if it's a good idea and it's far enough along, will you, Amanda, Steve, will you guys like throw some cash into this thing?
It's me, Amanda, and Matt. And that's okay. Probably not.
No.
and the reason is,
start a garage, pitch your idea, and don't get an investment.
Well, that's not the point of the show, right? It's not Shark Tank. And could it be an avenue where we start making investments in the future? Maybe, but that's not the point of the show. The point of the show isn't to go get investment. The point of the show is to refine your idea in a way that not everybody that's calling and pitch even needs investment, right? They don't even, that's not the point of it. It's like, is this thing that I'm thinking about, is this a thing? Can I make it real? And what are my first few steps? And how do I navigate some of the difficulties of becoming an entrepreneur? That's what it's more about. Now, ideally, my goal is to develop a big enough audience so where these entrepreneurs can attract investors just from our audience.
Yeah.
And I'm a crappy investor, so they wouldn't want me on their cap table anyway.
Hey, so what's been the biggest challenge so far of starting the podcast?
There's not going to be any surprises to you, right?
I want to hear
figuring out what the right platform is because of the technical complications of recording live and streaming and having people call in, like finding the right platform and some of the technical difficulties. It's taken a bit. And then getting the word out is obviously the most complicated thing. The technical stuff, like what camera to buy and what mic to do, and that's all like fun consumerism stuff. Like I get to go buy stuff and play with new tech. It's really driving an audience, especially because if I don't have people call in, is there even a show, right? It's just me, Amanda, and Matt talking, which is going to be fun. And I'm sure we're going to get to some dark spots where we just have to talk about stuff, which is great. But it's driving that initial people willing to call in and show up.
And again, I think, so I'm just trying to find some notes here that I was looking for earlier. So today I told you, so today's show 50 for us, episode 50. And we have been going live every single day. And right there in itself is an episode on what I've learned after 50 episodes doing a podcast. And let's face it, a lot of people just think about doing a podcast once a month, once a week, once every few weeks.
Once a day is rough, man.
No judgment at all. I'm doing this show every day and some of these learnings that I've had. So the biggest surprise for me, Anthony, has been the creative energy I need to bring to the table every single day. Going to work is easy. The endurance is easy, but it's being on for the audience because you never know who's watching. And I my own mirror, my own self, I don't want to deliver subpar content, right? So it's learning how to create the persona, put the persona on. And I say persona, and an amplified version of myself because you're making a show, right? So anybody who's watched wrestling or who watched any show, you got to be a bigger person than yourself, like an
You're way different than a wrestler persona. I would put you in that category.
Am I the face or am I the bat? Am I the heel? No, but you know what I mean. No, I want to bring energy to the show every single day, right? So
Right.
having to bring that energy has been a requirement and a commitment. But I made a commitment to this show, to the audience, that if I'm going to ask you to show up every day, then I need to show up every single day, right? So once I got my technical stuff sorted out, I was off to the races. And then once one person said to me, truth, and who I know is listening right now, said, hey, you wrote some stuff a while back, and then you started writing some other stuff a while back, and your tone changed. You became more guarded. Can you be the real guy from back in the original? I'm like, all right. And the more authentic I have been every single day on the show, and the more real I've been, and the more I keep putting myself out there, connecting with humans, we've seen this. We've just seen it, the attention. And I think people see how hard we're working, the commitment to this thing, right? Every single day, right?
Yeah.
But it's been fun, Anthony. I've met some incredible people over 50 shows, man.
Yeah. It's really cool what you're doing. The daily thing and forcing yourself to be that disciplined and having a guest. You've had 50 guests on.
Yes.
49, me twice. So,
yes.
But that's impressive.
Maybe there's probably been a few gaps along the way there we've had to fill. Like we had a gap on Tuesday, but I didn't call that an episode. We called that an encore. So that's been a learning as well, is this commitment to find guests, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you from when I first met you to now, even we've narrowed we really know who we're talking to in our audience now, Anthony. Like we're really specific and narrow, right? We're talking that 30 to 55-year-old male, right? Athlete, retiring athletes, business leader, entrepreneur, guy who's looking for next, people that are actually targets for your startup garage that won't get an investment from you. So, but
it has nothing to do with whether it's a good idea. It has everything to do with my ability to make good investment decisions. That's why I said no.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But here's the other thing I learned too, Anthony. If I'm going to record the show anyways, I figure, what the heck? I'm alive at noon. I can make the commitment. And admittedly, Anthony, from a marketing perspective, you're a marketer. You're a good marketer. I saw this as a old school radio thing, right? Just mindset. Noon, Monday to Friday, I'm always on. There's Keith always on. Just hold them accountable and hold the audience accountable to that time slot. And it seemed to be working. You own a spot, right? I got some cool marketing coming out that is working on, Anthony. I think you'll appreciate. When Salesforce launched that old software with the logo with the square with the slice through it, it was
software. Yeah, no more software. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a logo with a podcast strike through it. We are an SaaS. We're a show as a service, man.
Never heard the term.
So that's what bapl is. We're a show as a service. We help you get through your day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, so I see you have some you have some headphones on. Like I have on my desk. I've tried those ones on, but they seem to delay for me. You don't get no latency?
No, I don't.
Well, maybe you heard that question a half second.
No. I thought about playing that joke a little bit.
You did already last show.
No, I find these to be very comfortable.
I love
audio.
Them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them. But I also love my Sures that plug into my rig on my desks. What else is on your mind, Mr. Franco? What do you think about Elon Musk? He's been in the news this week. Today, the media.
So I've only seen 5 minutes of that whole. I haven't had the time to sit down and watch that entire interview. You talk about FU money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that dude. I know he's a polarizing character, and not everybody is in love with Elon Musk. I am. Like I love the guy, and I love him because he is apologetic when he makes a mistake, but he's unapologetic for wanting the right to say what he says and make mistakes authentically and out in the open. And from what I've seen from him, I choose to believe in what he says. I choose to believe that he is trying to help humanity. He is trying to make the world better. He is worried about AGI getting out of control. He is worried about the environment. But he's not subscribed to the orthodoxy of any of those industries, and what has been done should continue to be done. And he's just, he combines these really unique characteristics of caring about humanity, but being also very practical about how things get done. And it's fascinating to watch. Every time I watch him, I'm never disappointed. It's never boring. It's never boring. I could sit and I could turn an Elon Musk channel on and just watch it all day. It's so fascinating to see how that guy thinks and how he operates. And I'm inspired by him.
I do not disagree with anything that you just said. You said it very well for both of us, and I'll go on record. Hell, man, I got a Tesla Roadster sitting in my garage. If I don't have that Tesla Roadster, nothing else happens. Let's just speak about that. Because he needed 2,500 people in the world to buy those first cars. If we don't buy those cars, and I'm one of them, I got one of them in the world. I got the only one in Manitoba, one of the only few in Canada. I haven't shot it to Mars yet. So you think about that, right? So to say I'm a fan would be an understatement. I got one sitting in my garage. So I invested and I started drinking the Kool-Aid a long time ago.
I haven't been in a Tesla.
Come on.
And that's on purpose. I want one so bad that if I sit in one, I'm going to go out and buy one. And I'm not even going to ask my wife. I'm just going to go do it. So it's actually a discipline thing. It's like, if you don't want ice cream, don't walk into a 31 flavors, right? So that's my mental model for it right now.
That's intriguing.
I'll buy one.
That's intriguing to me, Anthony Franco. That's like some athletes, let's weave in my audience into this, would say, yeah, Keith, I've never touched the Stanley Cup because we made it to the playoffs. I've never touched the World Series. I've never touched that trophy. I've seen it over there because we were competing for it, but I've never touched it. And because of that old adage that if I touch it, it's like bad luck, or it's so interesting that you have not been in a Tesla. Sure, I'm thinking you have got a few in your garage.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I don't.
But go back to Elon. Does he say things sometimes that are foolish? I don't know if it's foolish as much as it is just a raw way of communicating. That's going to offend people. And and he's not out to make friends. And like you said, when you have FU money, you can just really do what you want.
Yes. And maybe your audience doesn't understand what we're talking about. So maybe we should provide them some context.
Let's do that.
A few weeks back, Elon retweeted a post that was, a lot of people are saying was an anti-Semitic post.
Yeah.
And it was because it grouped all Jewish people, yeah, right, into this category. And Elon retweeted it and then tried to put some context around what he meant was truth about it. It's like not all Jewish people, but some, like the Anti-Defamation League is like, he was pointing at some specific people that happen to be Jewish, not all Jewish people.
Yes.
And he and a lot of advertisers just pulled out of Twitter, like big GM, Apple, Disney. And so last night he was asked about it in an interview, and he said, first of all, I apologize for the tweet. Of the 30,000 tweets that I made, that was the dumbest one. And I tried to provide some context. And then he kept being pressed on it by, and I can't remember the guy that was interviewing him. And he said,
Anthony Sorkin.
And he basically said, if they pull out, then they should. If they want to pull out, F you. I don't care.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. That's exactly what he said.
Mean,
He's like,
he said the full word. I'm not willing to say the full word.
100% he did. He said it he said it in front of the audience.
And he said it multiple times, like just F you. The world's going to be your judge, right?
Yes.
And I was just like, dude.
Bob Iger sitting in the office? It's Bob Iger, or is it sitting in the office?
And he's pointed about drugs. He's Bob, if you want,
Hi, Bob.
Go for it. The world's going to be your judge, right? Like you're going to kill the platform. You're going to kill Twitter because you decided that because of one thing I said, and I tried to correct right away, you want to pull all of your advertising out. Go F yourself. And then he added this other layer of like middle finger. I don't know how else to put it. He's like, look, I've done more for humanity than anybody else. I don't say the words and do evil. I don't say, I say some things, but I actually do good. And then he backed it up with the plant, how many people he saved with how he's saving the planet with Tesla, how he's saving the human race with SpaceX, and how he's saving free speech with Twitter. And it's just like, all the comments that I'm reading online have been like just calling him a badass, just calling it out. Like, there's not many people in the world that has his money, his influence, and is willing to speak his mind against
everything else.
Everything else.
Everything else. Like it really, I've said this many times on the show, Anthony. We're really living in the Avengers era, like where we have Tony Stark. Like, honest to God, like it's like when you can go control wars because you own a satellite network that nobody else owns. And just think about this for a second. Like, so you wake up with a purpose to grow your business. I wake up with a purpose to grow mine. This guy wakes up with a purpose to solve humanity. Like, extend humanity. Think about that purpose and mission.
So I don't know what's in his heart. I don't know what's in his heart, right? None of us do, and everybody wants to put evil intent behind what he's doing. I choose to believe that that's true. Like, I choose to believe that. I do. I desperately want that to be true.
I don't know how. So I'm not trying to fanboy the guy here, but I don't know how, as a human to human, Keith Bilous to Anthony Franco, I want to believe in my heart of hearts that a human being over there that's all that cash is like, yeah, I'm going to buy Twitter, turn it into X, and I'm going to try to create a platform where we truly can have freedom, like free speech. I believe in free speech. I absolutely believe in free speech. I hate a world of echo chambers. I talked about it yesterday on the show. I welcome open dialogue. I welcome an honest conversation where you can agree and I can disagree. We can agree to disagree with each other and then go on and shake hands and go to the next conversation. That's better for humanity, frankly.
Yeah. And Elon's definition of free speech, or the tenets of free speech, really matter. He says free speech only works as somebody that you don't like saying something you don't like.
Yes.
And you have to be okay with that. And that's really what freedom is. Being able to say your mind. And people talk about hate speech and speech inciting violence. There's laws on the books right now about inciting violence that we don't need to add any more color to. Like, if you rally a crowd to violence, then you're breaking the law. You don't need to add anything to it. Hate speech, it's so tricky because is hate speech bad? Yes. But it's hate speech to those that are defining it, to those that are offended by it, which is a really slippery slope. There's things that people say that are abhorrent to me, but I'll fight for their ability to say it.
Dude, I ran a moderation company, Anthony. I don't know if you know that about me, but I had a moderation.
I can't even imagine.
I had a moderation company back when moderation was still new to the internet. I will share a story with you. In the early days of that business, I received tons of hate mail here in this country from the indigenous population suggesting that I was a racist when I was only just doing my job for the national media broadcaster. It wasn't until I went down to a meeting here in the city with some colleagues of all groups to just make everybody understand that's a difficult job for everybody, and nobody's trying to create or put out hate speech. We want to try to create a dialogue, a conversation, a place to have a free place of speech. But that's a whole other conversation for people to try to wrap their head around.
Yeah, it's complicated. It gets really complicated because I totally don't agree with the fact that speech is violence. Like I don't agree with that. That's true only if you've never been punched in the face.
So hold on. So let me challenge you to that a little bit. So you're saying speech is not. So I think so. Speech can incite violence, though. You would agree with that?
A very small sliver, a very small subset of speech can incite violence, and there's a very clear Supreme Court defined sliver of speech that is defined as speech that's not okay, and I agree with that. I agree with that some speech that words matter more than almost anything else.
Yes.
And some words can incite people to do really bad things. And we have to regulate that kind of speech. But Everything else is open. Everything else is open.
I don't disagree with that. I had challenges some days going to work, Anthony, back in those moderation days, because I was like, I don't really agree with those rules because I don't like the box that you're putting around that. But if that's the box you have to put out there, I guess that's the box, and you're paying my bills. So, but it was sometimes a challenge for me, to be frank with you. Somebody had to do the work. We did the work, but it was.
Were you challenged with things that you were being asked to moderate, or were you challenged with the things that you had to let go because it was considered free speech?
I think some days, great question. I think some days I was challenged by conceptually what I was doing. Because especially in the news space. So we did a lot of business in the news space, moderating news comments in the early days of the internet. And I believe in an open dialogue. I honestly believe in having an open conversation and debating and back and forth dialogue. There's a lot of news organizations that would just not allow that and would just choose just to turn the conversation off. I'm like, that's not really good for democracy or for people to want to have a dialogue if you're going to turn the conversation off. Right?
If you aren't open to having your ideas challenged, then how good is your idea?
Yeah, you're in an echo chamber because all that you're doing is you want to hear from everybody that says, yeah, it's a great idea.
Are you doing it to make the world a better place or to make yourself feel better? To feed your ego, right? Are you feeding your ego or trying to contribute? Because if you're trying to contribute, then you should be like, not only should you be open to criticism, you should be inviting it. Like, tell me where I'm wrong. I want to get this right.
Oh, I like that. Where I want to get this right. It's something that's taken me years to figure out. I wouldn't say just that recently, but that statement, a lot of people need to wrap their head around. I want to get this right. Help teach me. Teach me. People often walk the table with ignorance and don't want to be taught. No, I would suggest to somebody listening, go to the table and ask to be taught. It's such a wonderful way to be a part of a conversation.
Yeah, there was a phrase. I don't remember who told me this, but it really defines how I form my ideas. I have strong opinions weakly held.
Yes.
And I love the way that I love that phrase because and I wish I could remember who told me, who said that to me, but it's very good because it's like, I will believe what I believe until somebody gives me the evidence to change my mind. And I'm always open to having my mind changed. Always.
You're allowed to change your mind 100%. I think where you could be congratulated for is at least having the belief. Many people don't want to have them or don't want to share them or don't want to discuss them. So they'll just choose to stand on the sidelines and be a troll or be a hater. No, have your belief and let's go talk about it. Let's go have a discussion.
Yeah. And I do think that because I think it's of course it's the way I operate. So I think it's a healthy way to operate, but who knows? I'm probably very unhealthy just in a lot of different ways, but because I do self-censor because of it, because I won't say something that I can't back up with logic or from what I've read. And so I won't talk about things unless I have some basis for that opinion. And and obviously you also self-censor a little bit because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But again, if you're not willing to say something and get criticism, then being inviting a criticism, then you should just shut up on the internet. You should just shut up. If you're not willing to invite criticism, then just don't say anything and take a back seat and let people that are willing to be in the arena say the stuff and argue about it.
Yeah. So what would you say then to somebody who's Anthony, Elon, you're an Elon fanboy and so is your buddy Keith there apparently. So if he's out there spitting his truth and hurting people's feelings, why are you supportive of that?
Success, progress, and comfort are not compatible.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be comfortable, if you want to feel safe, if you want to never have your feelings hurt, then you're never going to progress. You never are going to grow. This is true with attitude, with business, with working out, with doing a cold plunge or sitting in like all of the things that are worth doing and make you better or make something better hurts. So if I don't want to live my life and I don't want to surround myself with people that are motivated by comfort because it's opposite to what I think we're put on this planet for.
Which is why when you take a room of 100 people, 99 are just content consumers and not content creators.
I understand that. There's nothing wrong with being a content consumer. But you asked me specifically around, don't I care about people's feelings? I do, but I still want people to say stuff that's hurtful anyway.
Yes.
I do care about, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but it's not my primary driver of how I operate. It's one of the considerations, not the consideration.
I would rather hear something from you of your belief or opinion so that we can dialogue about it instead of you keeping it to yourself, getting off the show and going talking to your wife or your buddies about it and having your own opinion about it and going, I wish I would have talked to Keith about it. No, let's talk about it, man. Let's, because I think, Anthony, as I've aged, the human side of me has just come out even more, right? It's just this, I want to connect on a human to human level. Because at the end of the day, I know you have the same kind of challenges in your life that I do. We all have our challenges. We all have our rawness. We all get up every single day, put our pants on the same way. And it's just finding a way to be able to connect with you as a human being and have a good human conversation.
Yeah.
What do you think? Shuffling gears over to the OpenAI mess with Sam Altman and bringing Elon back into it. Elon seems to think that, I don't know, did my internet go out here?
You're here. I can see you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
Your video is shaky.
I'm back
shaky,
there.
but yeah, you're very good.
Elon seems to think that Elon thinks everything. Elon seems to think that OpenAI may have made a dangerous discovery, which led to Sam Altman's dismissal prior to bringing Sam Altman back. And again, for the audience, we're talking OpenAI, we're talking ChatGPT, we're talking Sam Altman would be considered the Steve Jobs of perhaps our era with the ChatGPT stuff, or the Elon Musk of our era with this artificial intelligence. He's become the face of AI. What are your thoughts around the whole Sam Altman OpenAI fiasco, Anthony Franco?
So I've had a lot of conversations, and I'm wondering if I want to. So I'm not going to name the people that I'm talking to by name because I want to give them credit, but I'm not sure they would want me to say.
Yeah, that's fair.
To repeat their words, but people that are very well known in the AI space, thought leaders in AI and language learning models and how everything actually works. And an opinion that has been expressed to me more than once is that they feel that what Sam Altman is doing is very bad. And it's a very interesting perspective. And I don't have an opinion on, I don't know Sam Altman as a person, and I've never interacted with him. And all the things that I've seen about him have been very, I would say, positive things about him.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, what have you put out there in the last year? That's all I know about him as well.
And ChatGPT is a freaking marvel, especially the new stuff that they've released.
Yes.
They're doing some really interesting things in AI. But, and I want to make sure I get this analogy and so your listeners can understand it. But the analogy that was given to me, and I don't love the analogy, but I'm just going to give it to you anyway. What if an AI told everybody that you need to eat carrots? And it's a really stupid analogy, but you told everybody you need to eat carrots.
Yeah.
If you said, what's the thing I need to eat? And then everybody would go out and eat carrots. And the supply run, like it would destroy the carrot distribution supply chain. It would destroy it. So one of the things that our entire human infrastructure set up around is variety and diversity in choices. And so if AI takes that diversity of choice and that variety out, and therefore everybody's going to be doing and going after the same things. If AI tells all of us that there's going to be a run on toilet paper, it's going to cause a run on toilet paper.
Yes.
And we saw some of that without AI.
Yes.
So the opinion is that we have to be very careful with AI and how it can act. So you talk about AI destroying humanity, but it could be like the movies, how the movies talk, where they take and they have control of the buttons and they blow up the whole earth, or it could be by completely disrupting how we operate with one another in the current infrastructure of the supply chain and thought and nuance of what it is to be a human. And I thought that was a really more concrete example of how we need to be careful about AI than I'd ever heard. Obviously, from the people that I'm talking to, I would expect them to be a lot smarter than I am on an AI, but it really kind of opened my eyes and the things that I need to be aware of when dealing with AI. And Grok is really, Grok I don't have access to yet, but is really interesting. Grok is what Elon Musk is launching it under X.ai. And so I've really only have a little bit of experience with video, a little bit of video stuff with Runway, a lot with ChatGPT, a little bit with Midjourney. I've now switched over to image generation on ChatGPT. But it is fascinating with what's happening. But we've got to figure out a way to fix this. Not everybody's swimming the same direction, doing the same things because AI is telling us to do it.
I hadn't thought about AI from that perspective. I had always thought about how AI would hurt humanity with misinformation. And I guess this really is that anyways, isn't it? It's telling us that we need toilet paper or need carrots. So it's misinforming us to change our
it could hurt us with the truth. Right?
Yes, it could. Yeah.
If all of us did what AI told us to do, we're screwed.
Yeah. You know what I found is I had this conversation with Patrick Mork last week, Anthony. What I found fascinating the most about the whole OpenAI debacle is these 3 or 4 board of directors that are essentially had the keys to this piece of technology that has this massive influence over humanity. What's the governance of this company that's essentially governing us?
There's so many weird things. Yeah, there's so many weird things about this, right? OpenAI it's named OpenAI because it was an open source thing that Elon Musk put $100 million into.
Yes.
That the board then switched into a for-profit company. Sam Altman owns no shares of OpenAI. He owns nothing. I shouldn't say nothing. He made an investment in essentially a fund of startups called Y Combinator. And that fund of startups has a small investment in OpenAI. So in a roundabout way, he has a couple, but other than that, he has no shares in OpenAI. And when the board asked Sam, should we trust you? He said, no, right? No one person should hold this power, which really endears me to him because he don't trust me and you can fire me at any time. And then they turned around and did
it. Yes.
And then they turned around and rehired him again. It's just like this bizarre circuit, and nobody ever, and it's left everybody speculating into what's going on. Did Sam did he discover true general intelligence
AGI?
And what AGI? And then there's debates on what AGI really is versus superhuman intelligence and super intelligence. There's this one thing like, is Sam sitting on something that's dangerous? And that's therefore the board fired him. And if that's true, then why'd they hire him back? And if that's true, why did all of his employees want him to come back? There's just so much open to speculation. And there's really I can't wait for the Sorkin book to come out or about this. And so I can read the book and figure out what Sorkin says is really happening. But anyway, it's just been fast. It's again, another thing that I could just put on the television. If there was a live Sam Altman stream, I would just sit there and watch it. Fascinated by all the.
I'm with you. And just think about it. It's been 12 months. It was a year ago. It was released November 30th.
Really? OpenAI was released a year ago?
ChatGPT was released 1 year ago today. That's it.
Yeah. I've only been really using ChatGPT for 6 months.
Think about that. Think about the influence it's had on. So I could not be creating the show we're creating, the content we're creating in the lab without AI. And that's not being respectful to some of the humans that I have on this team with me, but the volume of content that I'm able to create and the quality of volume of content that I'm able to create.
Yeah, we talked about this last time. Yeah.
To do a live show every single day and then to pump out content out of that one show every single day. And then with the new tools they just released on GPT-4 there last week, I was like, oh my goodness, that's just exceptional, man. Exceptional.
I'm starting. Have you written any of your own GPTs yet?
Yes, that's exactly it. So we created, so I have a live in the lab show assistant. So what I did is I trained it with my personas, trained it with my content, trained it with our content pillars. So now every time a show finishes, here's our process. We download the transcript from the show, upload the transcript into GPT-4. It tells me everything I need to know, makes me the thumbnail, creates my YouTube stuff. It's done within actual minutes.
Yeah, I've been doing some of that stuff for product development. Like I've written my own GPT for product designs based on certain artistic styles, but also just for fun, I'm writing one called Not George Carlin. That is just I'm teaching it how to write comedy using George Carlin and other comedic
fun
content, as well as structures on how to write comedy. It's just a fun thing that I'm creating just to see how funny can AI, because most AI stuff is just stupid dad jokes and puns, and I wanted to see if we can make it better.
That's awesome. Well, I've seen some of the Grok stuff, and it's got Elon sarcasm all over it, right?
Yeah, the Grok stuff is good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want your opinion on something, my entrepreneur friend. So we're coming up on December now, and we're a few months into this thing. We've got 50 shows under our belt, and we're looking how we're going to continue growing the business and the pillars of the business. And I got to be honest with you, I'm seriously considering moving a substantial part of I'll rephrase that, a substantial amount of effort to Substack on the subscriber side of things and building an audience, building a community of subscribers instead of the old traditional YouTube advertisers and yada yada. What's your opinion on the independent Substack publishing model of tomorrow? Patreon, OnlyFans, Substack, those platforms. What's your opinion?
It comes down really to what your goals are. I think that's asking a very personal question, like that, and any answer would be very specific to the individual. Are you trying to monetize your content? If you are, like directly monetize your content, or is your content designed? Are you developing content in order to drive thought leadership so you can do other things with your audience?
Mm-hmm.
So there's your audience that you can get advertising dollars for. And then there's The Rock. His audience he's every post he does, he has one of his brands in the background. So it's product placement, right? And so it really comes back to, what is your strategy for your content? Why are you doing it? That's the irony of Startup Garage is I think I told you this. I don't know why I'm doing it yet. I just want to see if I want to have fun with this. And I love entrepreneurs. So right now I'm treating it as a hobby and as an expensive hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And then see what it actually becomes. I just don't know. And I'm fine with it just being a hobby forever. So in my circumstance, it would make no sense to go and try to monetize it by putting it behind a paywall, because now
it's
not as fun, right? It's just not as fun.
Sure, 100%. Yeah.
Right.
I think so. We're making good content, and I think we're making some great content. No, I'll remove the word think. We're making some great content. We've got great guests. We're having great conversation. Now the question comes down to, okay.
And I might say you have very good looking guests.
Of course, 100%. Like some of the best looking guests. There's for the thumbnail. Wait till we get the thumbnail made, my friend. Oh yeah, 100%. Dali's gonna love it. Wait till I put those.
If my wife was standing here, she'd be rolling her eyes right now.
Yeah, mine too. My kids. Like, oh, really? Yeah. It's bad enough that dad's a YouTuber, let alone dad's a good-looking YouTuber. Yeah, I find it, and I think for me it's part of the bigger conversation happening in the creator economy, Anthony, which is independent publishers are moving away from advertising supported platforms, right? Building your own audience and building your own community and building your own tribe, etc., etc. I still think there's value in both. Like if I'm to move to Substack, am I abandoning every other platform? No, it just becomes the way that you start moving your content around to your final place. Right? So does YouTube become my trailer platform to put trailers out there, get teasers out there, put special shows out there, and then move paying content over to Substack? I don't know. Or we use Substack behind the scenes.
The thing that pops into my head, and I don't know enough about monetizing content to have really any strong opinion.
Yeah.
But as a consumer of content, I already have subscription fatigue.
Yes, that's what, believe me, that's where my trepidation has come down to, right? But then I say to myself, so that's okay. But this is why I love the show, and this is why I love this conversation, because this is to speak to the people that are looking to do their own business too, right? Entrepreneurs, business leaders that wrestle with their own shoulders, right? Am I the guy that would subscribe to Keith's show? So if he's charging me, so if I'm enjoying his content for $8 a month or $10 a month, yeah, I would support that business. $100 a month, $200 a month, perhaps, probably not. There needs to be a lot more value there. But I think we're seeing a mind shift, Anthony, as well, though. So yes, there's subscriber fatigue, but I think there's a new generation of buyer understanding that there's value to the content, and I'm happy to pay a few bucks a month for it.
Yeah, and is going back to Elon, and I'm not trying to put more money in his pocket, but is there a reason why you wouldn't want to do subscriptions on X instead of subreddit or instead of
Substack? Yeah.
Stack?
It's a legitimate question. It's really, where are you picking your platform, right? What platform do you want to go and put your time and invest?
Right. And what's the platform now versus what do you think is going to be the platform of the future? And
it's a fascinating discussion as you're growing a business in today's digital world, really, right? It's picking a platform and seeing where you go with it, right? Facebook today is not what it was when you and I were growing up, right? You look at Instagram these days, and so what got me, I'll tell you what mostly intrigued me in the last 24 hours is Substack has continued to pivot to a video / podcasting platforms. They launched some brand new video features yesterday, and it's clear that I'm creating a video show. It's clear that I'm creating a show. So their new tools really enable for guys like me to say, okay, I can continue putting out this show with great guests for, hey, Anthony, will you pay me $6 a month? Yeah, maybe I will. I'm going to get 30 days of shows, get some great guests. I'm thinking about packaging it up like Peloton does with 5-minute shows, 10-minute shows. So I can say, hey, Anthony, here's 3 chunks of content. Go for a walk, 50 minutes, done. You got 3 great guests. Those are some of the things I think about. Follow me? So putting them into blocks of content, adding value around it. And as John Foley called it connected fitness, I'll call it connected coaching.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I always look for what are the roadblocks or obstacles you're creating for yourself. And so there's also the question, Keith, is do you do that now, or do you develop your content with an eventual goal of doing that?
That's exactly 100%. That's why I threw on the table with you, because when I started the lab, this has always been on the table for a discussion in my business plan, right? As entrepreneurs, we never create business plans, but it's always been there to say, okay, so now that it's time to turn the revenue streams on, what are we looking at, right? This frankly came up because of the email in my inbox last night from Substack saying, hey, we turned these features on. Oh, those are the features I've been waiting for. Okay, let's have a look at this. And we're coming into December, coming into January, and we've got a few months under our belt. We got the 50 shows under our belt. We got some learnings. We got some data starting to come in that we can look at.
Yeah.
Right? I really wanted to get to 500 videos on YouTube, and I'm at 420. 500 videos to really start seeing data and get some analysis and start learning. Anything before that, anything that I learned in any expert I talked to on YouTube was, until you have about 500 videos, don't come talk to me, because you're not really going to learn much until then. Was really what I got back from that. So we're at 420 something. So
interesting. Yeah.
So anyways, just a food for thought.
I'm earlier than you are. So take anything I say here with a huge grain of salt.
We started the show with Startup Garage, and we're going to end the show with some free advice from Anthony's Startup Garage.
Cool.
Anything you want to throw on the table to wrap up our chat today, pal? What do you got planned for the rest of the afternoon?
Trying to close an investment round for my current business. Yeah, I'm in the neck deep of it, of trying to raise some capital to grow MC Squares, which is my full-time gig.
Yeah, what can you share with the audience that would be interested in that situation you're in? Share with us if you can.
Like, truthfully, right now is the worst possible time to try to be raising capital.
Yes, it is.
There's a lot of dry powder, what they call dry powder, which is a lot of capital that people want to invest, but they're being very tight-fisted about letting any of that money go in for understandable reasons. And so it's a grind. And yeah, again, my situation and circumstances and where I'm at is so unique that I don't know if there's any like practical advice I can give to people trying to raise capital. It's just, I know what you're going through and it's hard.
I was just, so you know what, I
Yeah.
wanted to make it relatable. So I'm glad you said that, Anthony. We're on the same
Yeah.
wavelength. It's hard, isn't it? And it's probably not the enjoyable part of your day, is it?
No, I would rather be selling squares.
Yeah.
Right. I'd rather be focused on growing revenue but it's necessary. The kind of business it is, it's capital intensive. So I in order to get where to capitalize on the opportunity in the market, we need the capital.
Yeah.
Yeah. All things being equal, if you didn't have to raise capital, don't. All things being equal, if you don't have to be an entrepreneur, don't. Don't do it.
Is that the tip for today? I had Matt Patrick Mork last week. Cool guest, actually, Anthony, the grandfather of Google Play Store. He's the guy who invented Google Play. Pretty cool, actually.
Cool. Yeah.
And he wrote a book, and I said, "Hey, so what's your advice for writing a book?" Don't write a book.
Don't write a book. Yes, I have this little, I get invited to talk at some entrepreneurial events and accelerators and Never Startup Week. And I have this like little canned thing that I do. It's not canned, but it's like this, when somebody says, should I be an entrepreneur? I want to be an entrepreneur. The first thing I say is, yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You have, then it gets pretty dark. It's like the odds are not in your favor. The likelihood, the suicide rates for entrepreneurs are way higher. The money against you is way larger. The likelihood that you're going to fail is higher than any other thing that you're going to do in your life. You have no chance. You should quit now. And most people look at me and I see life deflate out of their eyes, right? They're like, ah.
Yes.
And then there's the batshit crazy ones that look at me like I've lost my marbles. Those are the people that are going to be entrepreneurs.
So I'm listening to you as you're saying that, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And so when are you telling me not? Because I hear those things that go in one ear out the other. Because I'm an entrepreneur again, and I'm working 14, 15, 20 hours a day. And you know what, Anthony? I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's.
But driving revenue, though, right? I'm like, I can make some money now.
A lot of people romanticize what it means to be an entrepreneur. And you cannot do that. If you're good, if you really care about being a successful entrepreneur, you have to relinquish your ego and have no shame.
Yes.
And most people aren't up for that. Most normal, healthy people aren't up for that. Like, if it doesn't sound fun to you, that's good. That's normal. You can walk away feeling good about yourself and look at me like I'm the crazy one, because that's the case. Because it only takes somebody insane to be willing to put themselves through this in order to. What is the goal of an entrepreneur? So in order to be an entrepreneur, but what does that mean? What is the end pursuit for you? Keith, what's the end pursuit for you for entrepreneurship? Like, why would you choose that over a regular life?
Because okay, so I guess it's the Elonism in me, right? I think I can do things better on my own than having to go work for a corporation to. I want to just move paper. I want to make a difference. I want to move mountains. I want to.
People that have regular jobs say that too, though, right? They go work for somebody. Part of the reason why people go get a job is because they believe the company, they can have a difference with that company.
That's fair. I can respect that. I can respect that. But I want to be the guy running the company.
Why?
Because I believe I'm a good leader and I want to be the leader leading the company. I believe in myself significantly enough that I think that I could take that company to where it needs to get to. So, and that's not to say that I don't want to learn from those that might be there. So,
see, look, me too.
No, right? Me too. 100% it is ego. Absolutely, it is ego. Yeah, but not to say that you're like, hey, Keith, I'm going to be the CEO of a company. I want you to be on my team. I'm at an age now in my life where I'm like, well, yeah. So what are you doing? Okay, great. I want to be on your team. Like I'm that to me now is I want to lead a team of extraordinary people and create, and I want to make a difference.
For me, and I think you've helped me answer this for myself. It's two things. One, the truth is, if I find somebody that is humble enough to take on the role of CEO for a company that I started and has a better strategy or tack to execute on it than I do, I'd be willing to go, okay, let's see how you can take. I don't have the ego enough on the role.
100% agree with you.
But the reason why I struggle working for other people is because I know what my value system is, and I worry about having to operate under somebody else's value system.
Well said. I think I would align with that, actually. Yes. Like I believe in a certain way of things being done. And so here's the truth. So if I had to go work with a company, okay, we're having a 9 a.m. meeting. I'm like, a 9 a.m. meeting? What the fuck, man? I got to take care of myself. No, I'm not. Dad's not getting to the desk till 10 a.m. Dad's day doesn't start till 10 a.m. And that's not to say Dad's day is not. No, Dad's day starts at 5 a.m. Actually, starts at 4:40 a.m. But Dad's got to take care of himself first, so that Dad can go take care of all you guys. You guys want to build an award-winning corporation? We'll see you at 10. Well, no, but it's at 9 o'clock. Well, then go find somebody else.
and for me, it's more than that. It's like, okay, so part of going to work for somebody that says, look, part of our sales process, we just kind of fudge this to our customers. We can't, like, don't disclose this piece or don't say this piece, or it's like, I don't know if I'm willing to do that. I don't know if I'm willing to, like, don't ask me to make a choice between behaving ethically and feeding my kids, because I'll choose feeding my kids.
Yes.
But I'll start looking for another job. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, those are the things that I think about when having to go work for somebody else. Not that I wouldn't. It's just I've got to really trust that person. I've got to really know that that our values are aligned. It's a marriage. Our values are aligned.
I want to create. There's nothing more satisfying to me, Anthony, than taking something from nothing and creating value around it and sharing that value. I think you're the same way.
That's most entrepreneurs. Most entrepreneurs are builders.
I love it.
They're builders.
And I love that. So like, that's what I've been enjoying so much about the lab here right now. It's come from nothing. It's now turning into something, right? And I love seeing it come to life. I love the content we're putting out. I love the brand that's building underneath it, even though it's nothing. It's still just Keith Bilous. But I love that whole process, Anthony, bringing it to life.
Yeah, I think the entrepreneurs that aren't builders, that want to become an entrepreneur, have a much, much higher likelihood to fail.
Yes.
Much, like I hear this all the time where an entrepreneur has an idea and they say, I'm looking for a technical co-founder. And I'm like,
no,
then you're out. Like, you're looking for the builder part of it.
Yes.
Which you have to be a builder to be an entrepreneur. Like, Elizabeth Holmes was an entrepreneur that wasn't a builder.
Yes. A entrepreneur.
Yeah. She didn't know. She thought that the quality Steve Jobs had was to set goals that couldn't be achieved.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that Steve had that she didn't is he knew how things got done. He may not be the person soldering the chips or writing the code, but he knew enough about how all of it worked to set goals that he knew could be done versus couldn't be done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Elon has that same thing. He's like, the only thing that can't be done, the only law that can't be broken is the laws of physics. When talking about product development, our only constraint is the laws of physics. And what Elizabeth Holmes was trying to do wasn't achievable by the laws of physics.
Yes.
And she didn't know that. She didn't have enough. She wasn't a builder and to know enough. So anyway, I don't know why I went off on this tangent, but all entrepreneurs should be builders. I'm not saying all successful entrepreneurs are builders. I'm saying the table stakes is that you're a builder, that you're the doer. You do this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not just the delegation stuff. You got to do the stuff first. You got to. I like to use the analogy, Anthony, of the pizza restaurant. If I bought a pizza shop or if I started a pizza restaurant, I want to know how to make the pizza. I want to know where the dough is. I want to know I want to know the entire process before I hand it over to Anthony and his team to go make pizzas for me.
Yes. Yeah. So
it's the best example to me.
If you own a restaurant, you got to be willing to go in and wash the dishes.
100%.
Tables.
100%. If you can't, then you're.
In fact, that's what most owners are doing during the shift. Is they're bussing tables, they're seating guests, and they're washing dishes. When they're picking up.
I love the restaurant example when I talk to people being an entrepreneur, because if you say to somebody, "Okay, you just bought a restaurant. It's 8 o'clock at night. Why are you at home right now? Like, why aren't you at the restaurant?" Why aren't you at the like you got to,
Yeah.
the restaurant's open. It's open from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. Like, why aren't you there? Like,
If you're not coming home smelling like marinara sauce, you're not doing your job.
Yes, exactly. And that's a good way to wrap it up, man. You've been really grateful to give me 70 minutes of your day today. You're a busy guy. Anthony, thanks for joining me on episode 50 live in the lab. I always enjoy our chats. I hope our audience doesn't. I'm going to chunk it up and put it out there for us to enjoy it again.
As usual, it was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, and we'll do it again. And maybe we do this regularly. We get around the table, chew the.
You just tell me when to show up. I'll be there.
Awesome, man. And hey, my audience, which I think is that camera. Oh, the camera's still on. Yes, that is awesome. Hey, because Anthony doesn't like to pitch his show as much as I do. You got to go check out startupgarage.live. You get to go and have some fun pitch shows, not get an investment because it's just a fun show, but you're going to love hanging out with Anthony and the team. I know you are. And check it out. When's it go, Anthony? On Mondays, right?
Every other Monday. The Monday the 4th is our next recording.
All right. So we're going to walk Anthony out of the door. Anthony, want to put you in the green room for a second? I'm going to say goodbye to the audience and come back to you. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm going to do that there and do this here. And I think I'm going to do this and see if something comes on the air. No, it ain't working. All right. That's all right. All right. So, hey, we're Thursday. We are into the week here. We got a bunch of guests under our belt. November's done. No month is done, but that doesn't mean that your mission is not done. If you got a poison, try to stay out of it. We're heading into the Christmas season. You probably that ice cream or that peanut butter or whatever you said no to. There's no judgment. All we do is bring grace here into the lab, right? We want to be that place, that platform, that safe space. Say, hey, Keith, you know what? I had some ice cream. We laugh about it. Hey, Keith, I had some drinks. We laugh about it. No judgment. We simply wanted to offer up a place for you to consider, an opportunity to put something aside for a few days to make yourself feel better. I hope you enjoyed the challenge. I hope you enjoyed the fun month of November. Now you get to listen to me talk about me wrestling when I crack the jar. We'll see you guys tomorrow. James Vick, UFC karate fighter. James Vick joins us here in the lab. Me and Dale Weiss sat down with James last week. We're running the show tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. Live in the lab. I'm Keith, and I'm out of here.